Hey guys, how's it going? This is Mr. Webker here. We are doing our second week of Chapter 18 notes, which means that we only have 18.3 and 18.4 left, and then we are done with PowerPoint checks for chapters for the school year. So be happy. There's only about 5 slides in this video, so lucky for you, this should be a short one. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or send me a remind. I am a little sick today, so I'm going to do my best to keep my voice up. Um, but today we're going to focus on how different parts of Asia got their independence from the United States and from England after World War II. So thank you so much for joining us. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to send me a remind or to email me at any time. So today we are going to actually only be talking about two countries as they received their freedom from the United States and from Britain. So that's going to be Burma, which is um, the yellow countries on the map, and then the Philippines, which is to the right, the light blue, uh, sorry, light purple um, country. The Philippines actually was controlled by America from about the 1800s into just after World War II. So we'll discuss how they received their freedom and sort of what their country looked like after World War II as they left the United States. That's going to be the majority of our focus. We will also talk about Malaysia and Burma and how they received their freedom from England and what the result of that was. So, the United States controlled the Philippines even into World War II. The only time we did not control it is when the Japanese actually invaded the Philippines during the war and kicked the U.S. troops off of the island. That being said, after World War II, we took over again under a man named Douglas MacArthur. He actually started in the Philippines controlling it, and sort of that's how he gained his reputation. On July 4th, 1946, understanding that we could no longer really control the country because we had just fought to give them freedom, so to take them back over would be sort of um, not representative of the United States. So the U.S. gave the Philippines back to their own people, but they said that if we give you your country back, then you have to give us free trade, which means you cannot tax us on anything that we trade with you guys. And the United States actually basically gave the Philippines $620 million, and in return we could get free trade, which we ended up making far more money off of them um, than we gave to them. Also, part of the agreement was that we had to have a long lease to control a military base in the Philippines. So we controlled that base until 1992. It was actually the largest international um, base up until that date. So we kept our army in the Philippines, and had free trade in return for $620 million given to the Filipinos. The country today is very poor. There's a lot of poverty that exists today. Many people blame the occupation of the United States for that poverty, but there's a lot of different things that cause that in their country today. So the Filipino government basically controlled the Philippines from its birth in the 1940s when it left America until about 1965 when they had a free election and they voted in a guy named Ferdinand Marcos. Ferdinand Marcos ended up being a horrible ruler. He had totalitarian rule, which basically meant he had total control of the country. When they tried to run elections again, he did not allow it. So he basically controlled the country from 1965 to about 1986. He stole millions of dollars from the country, and after he lost the election in 1986, he was forced to exile, where he went to Hawaii and spent the rest of his life there on the money that he stole, sadly, from the Philippines. Um, in 1986, there were elections against him. A man by the name of Mr. Aquino ran against him, and he was assassinated. And so, in his place, a woman named Corazon Aquino ran, which was actually the original candidate's wife. Um, and she was able to get the stolen money back from Marcos when she won. Um, and then she forced Marcos to, like I said, go into exile in Hawaii. So she tried to bring about a lot of social and political change in the Philippines, hoping to make them a better, more economically advanced country. So the British actually owned many colonies in Asia, but we're going to discuss Myanmar, Burma, um, Malaysia, and Singapore today. Malaysia is the green country right next to my head, to the left of my head. Below it, you can't see it, I'm blocking it, is a country called Singapore, and then in the left side, there's a red or like pink country called Burma. So Burma, sadly, went an opposite way from Malaysia and Singapore. Whereas Malaysia and Singapore became democracies and gained wealth. They're not perfect, but they are striving to be democratic and have free elections and give people civil rights. Um, Burma is not doing that. So Malaysia and Singapore were one country at one time, but in 1945 they split into two countries. Um, Singapore is one of the richest countries in the world right now, and Malaysia is pretty close as well. Meanwhile, Burma, who has not embraced democracy, um, is continually poor, and people live sort of without civil rights, without the right to free speech or the freedom to vote. It's really a sad place to live in. But what we see in this is that not every colony ended up the same, whereas some colonies embraced strong economies and fought against corruption and became wealthy. Other countries became corrupt and did not embrace the democracies that they had seen around them. So that's our notes for today. It's really short. You're so welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to remind me this week. These notes are due on Friday, so make sure that when I show up on Friday, we highlight our answer uh, to our PowerPoint check in our notes. We have questions and summaries, and we have answered our PowerPoint check. Thank you so much. Have a great week. I will see you on Friday.